And welcome to the Howard Eskin Show. As on this Wednesday evening, when we're doing it live, you're riding with the king. A lot to discuss tonight. Certainly, two sports, Philadelphia sports, that we'll discuss, and we'll do it with a guy that breaks down the game as well, if not better, than anybody, and that would be Brian Baldinger. But before we get to that, and Brian was 13 years in the NFL. But before we get to that, let me just tell you that this show, uh, by the grace of a good person, is presented by Stillwell Financial Advisors. Yeah, in the world we live in, and I keep on telling you this, and people want to, people think about it all the time to set themselves up better financially. Jeff Stillwell uh, can do that for you. Jeff Stillwell knows how to invest your money. Good guy, sharp guy, good guy, and sharp guy. That's a pretty good combination. And what I suggest is you give him a call and check it out. See what direction, see where you can go. You see his number there, and if you're listening to it audio wise, I'll read it off to you: 732-343-0813. 732-343-0813. Also, I want to tell you on the show tonight, obviously, we're going to talk about the Eagles. We're going to talk about the Eagles with Brian Baldinger. And we're going to talk about the Phillies. It was not a good weekend in Philadelphia for sports fans. Matter of fact, when we talked about it on Saturday, I said, what do you think the chances of the Philadelphia teams winning both games? I think the lowest percentage was 50%. Most people had 70%. And what were the chances? If I said, what were the chances of the Philadelphia teams losing both games? I, you would say, what? What? No way that's going to happen. All right. All right. I'll touch first on the Phillies. And people love to get on me. I'll say get on me and rip me. I don't like their lineup. I don't like it. They don't put the ball in play. They depend too much on home runs. Because the game was 4-3, that was really not the game. Uh, Dave Roberts didn't do a good enough job with the pitcher he started the ninth inning with. But regardless of all that, it's just the Phillies just can't. And then the manager made a mistake. The Phillies just can't get the big hits. And was the manager worried about that? All right, before we get too deep into that, let me tell you about some other important people on the program. And they would be number one, Audi Westchester. Audi Westchester's got another great deal going on right now. They had a great deal last month. They have a great deal for you to get in a new Audi this month. 3.99% financing for up to 72 months on the following new Audis. The new, I say the new redesigned model A5, the new Q5, the new SQ5, the Q5 Sportback, the SQ5 Sportback, and the Q6 e-tron rear wheel drive. So what you got to do is stop by Audi Westchester. You have fun looking at new cars. You can check out more details. Check out the all new facility, 1421 Wilmington Pike. It is a special offer and it's not going to last long. And I would suggest, like people did last month, you take advantage of the offer this month. 3.99% financing up to 72 months on the new A5, Q5, SQ5, Q5 Sportback, SQ5 Sportback, and the Q6 e-tron rear wheel drive. Check it all out. AudiWestchester.com. That's their website, AudiWestchester.com. And you want to, when you invite guests over, you want your property to look really nice, right? Well, the people that can do that for you, Piazza Property Pros. Whatever it is, you want to spruce up your backyard, whether it's a fire pit, whether it's a hot tub, whatever it is, and landscaping, fencing, hardscaping, and building a pool. You've thought about it, you've thought about it, and you've thought about it. How long are you going to think about it? If you want to do it, the first step you got to take is to call Piazza Property Pros with 25 years of experience. No, they don't subcontract, so it's their people. That is really important. Pool maintenance is all part of it. If you have a pool, check them out. Just give them a call and talk to them about it, and they'll schedule a free consultation. Not everybody does that. Free consultation, 610-566-2608. That's 610-566-2608, or check it out at piazzaoutdoor.com. All right. Let's deal with the Phillies. Let me see. Let me break this down. The top of their lineup in the first two games, the first three hitters, 2 for 21, 11 strikeouts. You think that's going to get it done? They just don't put the ball in play. That's not a good, it's not a good way to play the game, especially in the playoffs, because it's not going to be, uh, you're just not going to live on home runs. You're not going to live on home runs. And the Phillies consistently try to live on home runs, and that's not the way it works. It's just, how about, and something I heard, I didn't check it, but I'm pretty sure it is correct, that the Phillies in their last 11 playoff games, they have lost 9 of 11 playoff games, 9 of the last 11 playoff games at home. And I believe that's correct. 9 of 11 at home. So home field is not home field for the Phillies. As loud as the fans are, as much as they try to get on the other players, it doesn't make any difference if the home team doesn't put the ball in play, and you just live by the home run. And in reality, I don't know that the Phillies, obviously the Phillies can win the series, but to win three in a row, if you win two in a row, then you can win three in a row, but you got to win two in a row. But I don't think they're a better team than the Dodgers. Their record may have been better, but and the Dodgers had a little bit of a lull where the Phillies didn't have much of a lull. But the Dodgers are a better team. How many teams in how many teams in baseball do you think are better than the Phillies? I see Yale. Yale Ross says, "Where is Harper?" Where is he? He cashes that check he cashes that check twice a month. I can tell you that. I think he's got enough money. Schwarber has one hit in his last 21. No, probably one home run. He can't have one hit in his last 21 at bats. Last 21 at bats, not 21 games. One hit in his last 21 at bats and 13 strikeouts. He's having a slump at the wrong time of the year. Just here's another thing that the Phillies. It's going to be interesting going into next season what they're going to do and whether they can sign Schwarber with all the money they have on their payroll. But here's another thing they did. If you really want to win, and I know that they really want to win, but do you take every step you can? Why did Painter and Crawford not come up? Well, I'm going to answer the question for you. I'm going to answer the question. They didn't come up because once you bring them to the major leagues, it starts the clock on arbitration and towards free agency. So they didn't want to start the clock yet. So now, starting next year, when those two players come up, it'll be 6 years before they can reach free agency. Now, 3 years, I guess it's 3 years before you get to arbitration, but they stopped the clock. That's what it was. They didn't stop the clock. They didn't start the clock, and that comes down to money. Now, do you want to win? John Middleton's worried about his legacy, which is it's ridiculous for him to say that this season. It's about my legacy. No, it's not. But if it is, then you got to do everything you can. Don't you think Painter and Crawford could have helped this team more than more than the other players, than some of the other players on this season? It's just first, and then I think Rob Thompson was worried about, if you're going to bunt with Stott with a man on second and nobody out, you're obviously worried. You're too worried about this team not getting hits. That's really what it comes down to. Uh, it's just that's what it comes down to, and that's not a good thing. The pitching choices for the playoffs, I don't know that I don't know that they could have done anything else. You don't want Taiwan Walker. That was a bad signing. They've had some bad signings. They've made some mistakes with contracts. It's just and you want to keep Bader. He's probably going to be what 17 to $20 million. You're going to try to trade Castellanos, but you might have to give the other team some money to take him. You're not going to get anything for him. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. All right, let me tell you, we have a winner. I want to announce the winner, and the winner for the Chickies and Pete's gift certificate. The winner, and the question was Mark Lawrence mentioned a team that he thought was going to come out of the National League into the World Series. The team he mentioned was Milwaukee. And Dave Wheeler was one of the people with the correct answer. Dave, you submitted your answer to our website, howardeskin.com. You were selected at random, and congratulations. You win a Chickies and Pete's gift certificate. Used it. Chickies and Pete's all over. They're all over the place. So you won't have any problem uh, getting getting to use your card at Chickies and Pete's. All right, now I want to tell you what the prize will be for tonight. It'll be something that Brian Baldinger says, and I'll have a question. A Larry Boa autographed baseball. Now, what you do is you answer the question and submit your answer to our website, howardeskin.com, by midnight on Friday, and that is October 10th. Watch the show on Saturday, uh, and we will announce the winner. 8 a.m., the show on Saturday, live on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. If you subscribe to YouTube, and I think if you click on one of the deals on Twitter, it'll notify you when I come on with my show live. But YouTube, for sure, you subscribe to my page on YouTube. It will notify you when we go live. The winner will be randomly chosen from all correct entries. All right. So that will happen with one of the things that Brian Baldinger says, and he will be on very shortly. All right, let me touch on the Eagles. People are whining, and Philadelphia fans are the best at whining. They whine better than everybody. So, one of these days I'm going to have a prize of cheese to go along with that wine. But they whine as well as anybody. Saquon Barkley only had 6 carries. Well, it doesn't matter. There were so many 3-and-outs. They're not. I don't know. I don't know exactly what it is, but I can surmise, and we'll ask Brian Baldinger. I don't think the offensive line is as good. I think they're good, but I don't think they're as good. The defenses are playing differently against the Eagles, and once they stop the run, they force the Eagles to pass. They force the Eagles to pass, and that's not their game. That's not their game. So they tried to run the ball the second half, and it's just not the way it works. One of the reasons the Eagles did not win the game is every game this season they've led in plus minus in turnovers. Turnovers have won. I think turnovers have won every game for them. I think. Well, the Dallas game. The Dallas game too. Dallas game, that was a close game. They were all close games, but they got turnovers. If you get turnovers, you're going to win games. It's just look at it was at Jacksonville against Kansas City. I think they were +1 in turnovers, but one turnover went for a touchdown. You get turnovers, you win games, and the Eagles did not get a turnover. One of the other things that came up in a question, was, and it was asked of Nick Sirianni on Monday. I believe it was Monday. He was asked why Jalen Hurts, because the play clock is running down and he's getting up to the line of scrimmage later. Whatever it is, he's not got as much time. Nick Sirianni was asked the question. You tell me. I'm going to play this for you. You tell me if he answered the question. Let's hear from Nick Sirianni on that situation with Jalen Hurts.
Hey, Nick, last night you said that the play calls aren't coming in late. So I'm wondering what can be done to help Jalen Hurts get to the line quick and get the plays off faster so that you're not so deep into the play clock.
I believe I said, Jeff, that there's never just one thing, right? There's play calls could be coming in late. There could be communication errors with. I kind of went through all the different things.
Okay. Your first response was no to the direct answer.
I kind of took it as all the different things that go into getting up to the line of scrimmage. So, and I believe I also said, hey, it's never just one thing. Throughout the course of the game, we have to practice it better. We have to coach it better, and it always comes down to how you go through it in practice. So, never just one thing. We have to get better at it, though, as coaches and as players.
If I may follow up, this has been you guys have consistently been late in the play clocks since Jalen Hurts has been the quarterback. So this has been a kind of like a running theme for the last several years now. So he's the one common denominator. So, what if he's part of the process for a while now? What can be done to help him get the plays off quicker?
Sure. Again, like I said, it takes a lot. It's a lot of different things. Like in this game, this isn't tennis where you can assign the blame to one person. This is football, and there's multiple different things that go into each and every one of these things. So we stress and we will detail out our communication from just like all the things that from coach to quarterback, then from sideline to huddle. You can ask Aaron Moorhead when we talk to him. He's got a tough job there, and anytime that transition slow, we obviously he gets let known about it, and same with the players there. Then it's knowing what to do, and through your preparation, through the game plan, and then getting up to the line of scrimmage and working that process in practice. Then there's the motion, there's the identifying things. Again, football is the ultimate team game. A lot of things that go into it. So, and I'm never going to assign blame to one party, especially when it's not one party that's responsible. It's a team, and it's a team thing.
You know what? Why did tennis come up in the answer? Here, if Nick Sirianni wasn't coached to not say anything, and he's coached not to say anything, but then he's not good at saying nothing because he goes on and on. That was 2.5 minutes of not really answering the question. It's pretty simple. Hey, listen, it's a combination of things. It's not Jalen. It's not, although Monday night, coaches don't criticize their players directly. Andy Reid criticized Patrick Mahomes for that interception. He criticized Mahomes, saying he didn't do a good job at reading the defense. He didn't do a good job. So if he's not doing a good job, but the coach called him out on it. Andy Reid, of all people, called him out on it. And I see Paul says the Eagles got outcoached on Sunday. I don't think they got outplayed. I don't. Everybody wants to blame. Fans love to blame. It's the coach or the quarterback. And because people are so in love with Jalen Hurts, and he's no question, he's gotten much better than he was when he first started. But it's not always the coaching. Players got to make plays. If Jalen Hurts has all that time to throw the football, why is he not finding a receiver? And we're going to ask Brian Baldinger that. And Brian Baldinger breaks down the game as well, if not better than anybody. And it's fascinating to see the breakdowns that he has. And Baldy is joining us now. Brian Baldinger. Hey, Baldy, how are you tonight?
Hey, Howard. Good seeing you, buddy. I'm doing well. Busy.
Good.
This time of the year, it's
Yeah, oh yeah.
Time, but it's good though.
Yeah, it's great when you have when the Eagles lose a game, There's so many things that when they win a game, there's things to talk about. When they lose a game, you know these fans. These fans go ballistic. They're out of control.
No, look, Howard, you've been talking to them forever. So I mean, I was doing that Rams game 2 weeks ago, and they were booing the Eagles coming off the field at halftime, as they should have been. They were terrible in the first half of that game. Now they opened things up in the second half and played much better and found a way to win it. But no, I saw them, being booed a couple times last year. Cleveland game, they were being booed at halftime. Jacksonville game, there was a lot of games where they weren't playing very well, and the fans let them know about it.
Okay, so let me just tell people, and people know what you do: NFL Network, Fox Sports, radio networks. At the Rams game, you must have been working for the radio network, right?
Yeah, I was doing Compass Media Networks, Howard.
Okay,
yeah.
All right. You played in the NFL for 13 years with Dallas, Indianapolis, Buffalo. I don't think you played. You were on the practice squad, right?
No, I went up there for training camp. It didn't work out, and I ended up coming to Philadelphia. And
okay, and then you played with the Eagles to finish your career. So, Baldy, when you look at the Eagles' loss on Sunday, what stood out to you?
Well, I mean, it seemed like they were making a concerted effort to throw the ball to the receivers because they weren't getting the ball. That was clear. But they did. Saquon had 6 carries. He had 1 in the fourth quarter when they were up 17-3. That's usually when you want to try to make a concerted effort to run the ball. They had 1 good run the whole day, 17-yard, the longest run. But, they didn't run the ball well. And then there's just very little timing to the passing side of the offense. And so that happened on that side of the ball. On the other side, Howard, Bo Nix, I think he completed 11 out of 12 passes in the fourth quarter. He did whatever he wanted to do. And the Eagles, they didn't know if they should blitz, not blitz. But, even if Quinyon Mitchell was covering Cortland Sutton came down with the football. And they made a lot of big plays in the passing game. So really both sides, had a collapse, I thought, losing that 17-3 lead.
And you pointed out on one of your breakdowns, you pointed out Quinyon Mitchell, how good he is with, in single coverage. And one of the passes I think you broke down was that he was in a zone coverage. But whatever the case may be, if that's the case, then somebody else is getting covered. Is AJ getting doubled? Because I'm not AJ. Are other people getting doubled? Not allowed. And if that's the case, how did Bo Nix complete 11 out of 12 passes?
Well, they play a variety of different coverages, Howard. They'll play zone. It wasn't all just man coverage. A lot of zones become man at a certain distance, where you match up. We call it a matchup zone, Howard. And so it becomes man at some point, depending on the route combination and the coverage. But Cortland is their number one guy. He has been since Bo Nix came in. And, sometimes, if the Eagles if AJ wanted to make a case for throwing me the ball, watch what Cortland Sutton does. He's not getting great separation, but he's a big guy. He's got a big body. He knows how to use it, a little like low post basketball. And, Bo Nix doesn't have any fear throwing it. The Eagles quarterback has a lot of fear throwing the ball into situations like that. There's a reason why he doesn't have any interceptions this year. He doesn't want to throw an interception. So he'd rather just eat the ball, hold the ball, run with the ball, throw it away than to possibly throw an interception. Bo Nix played the game, I believe, the way you got to play it. You got to throw with some anticipation, and you got to throw with some lack of fear going, I'm going to trust my receiver to go get it.
It's a great point. I've kind of mentioned it at times, but you do a better job than I certainly do. Should he be thrown? Now, first of all, AJ Brown's got to keep his mouth shut. Hey, listen, play the game. It's a team game. You win the game. Just keep your mouth shut. But should Jalen Hurts, let's start with this. Should Jalen Hurts, if it's AJ, throw the ball more to AJ, and we can talk about other receivers, even if there's not that much separation, because the one thing AJ does well, he's going to win the one-on-ones.
Well, not just that, Howard, but, he catches the ball, and this is one thing that Jalen always loved about him. He catches the ball with his hands and away from his body. So if you're coming back to the ball, like the ball's not going to come into his body and have a chance to bounce off or have a chance for a Surtain or some defender to defend it. Like he doesn't give you a chance. A couple great cases against the Rams, Emmanuel Forbes, Darius Williams, some of the guys that he beat in that game. but I'll just say this about AJ Howard. I think you'll understand the mentality of the person because it applies to every sport. But AJ just has this mentality, and it's not a diva mentality. It really isn't. He just has this mentality that he wants to be Reggie White. He just wants to dominate his opponent. And if he doesn't get targets or a chance to do that, even if you win, where you should just keep your mouth shut and just be happy, like he's not happy because he didn't feel like, yes, we won the game. We should celebrate as a team. It's a team game, yes. But he doesn't feel like he got his chance to really break his opponent's sword and to beat him into the turf. And that's what he actually enjoys about the game.
Well, if the Eagles cannot run the ball, and I'll just point to last year, and Saquon's not going to rush for 2,000 yards. That ain't going to happen again. If you cannot run the ball, and it seems like, and you've looked at all the tapes, it seems like teams are doing things to force them to pass the ball. And to your point, knowing that Jalen really is not comfortable with throwing some of those passes. Do you see a lot of that?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Denver came in, they basically played like a 9-man box, Howard, 8 or 9-man box, depending how many receivers on the field. And Hufanga was up there, and they didn't really account for him in some of the runs. They didn't run it a lot. But that's how Denver was just sitting on there. And when you see a team like that, I mean, you got to throw them out of it. You got to put the fear in them that, man, if we don't have 2 safeties back there, they're going to run by us and sting us for big plays. Well, they didn't really do that, and they haven't been good outside of maybe a handful of plays in 5 games where they've been productive throwing the ball down the field. So Denver just challenged them, and they've got a great defensive front, and they feel like if the quarterback holds the ball, they're going to eventually get home, and they did. And it's frustrating to the guys up front that are blocking for 4, 5, 6 seconds sometimes, and the ball still isn't being released. That's not happening anywhere in this league right now.
Do you think their offensive line, it's hard to be as good as they were last year. The offensive line is not as good, and that's some of the issue, or is it the defenses that are more of the issue with the lack of a good running game?
I would, Mekhi Becton had an incredible year last year. They don't have. I mean, they're good. Mekhi Becton just moved the line of scrimmage. He was really good. I feel like Landon Dickerson was healthy almost the entire year. Juergens played through some injuries, but for the most part, Fred Johnson came in for a couple of games, but for the most part, they were really good as a group. They haven't been quite as good. Lane's just the same. Like there's no drop off there. Mulata is still good. I feel like they're losing a little bit at the guard position, a little bit at center. They're not quite as good at those positions as they were a year ago.
Well, if they don't run the ball better, I'll say better.
Yeah.
Can Jalen Hurts become better in the passing game?
Well, he'll have to, Howard. He'll have to. Because, Washington is going to present some issues when they play Washington. How they can stop the run. They've been very good. They had a real commitment to it this offseason and some of the guys they brought in. But, you're going to have to throw it better. You're going to win, some of these big games. Now, there's a lot of teams, maybe tomorrow night against the Giants. There's some teams out there. But, Dallas is scoring points right now. They're a lot better than they were week 1. So, if you want to go compete in the NFC and get to the final 8 and have a chance, they're going to have to play a lot better in the passing game than they have so far because, all these other teams that are going to be in the postseason, whether it's Baker Mayfield right now or Matt Stafford or Jared Goff, like all these teams can really throw the football. Sam Darnold's throwing it really well in Seattle. You're going to have to match those guys if you're not running like they did a year ago.
The one thing that I know, and I've been told by a couple of the coaches, the Eagles didn't want Jalen Hurts to throw more than 21 to 23 times because they don't want turnovers. That's why they've won games. And they didn't get a turnover on Sunday, and they've been plus in every game in turnovers. But to allow that to happen, they're going to have to run better. And it doesn't seem like they're going to be able to run better the way defenses are playing.
Well, I will say this. Last year, Howard, after 4 games, the Eagles were 2-2. They got blown out by Tampa. They got beaten on a Monday night by Atlanta. Jalen had thrown 4 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. Well, he doesn't have any interceptions this year. He's got more touchdown passes than what he had last year. But they really and then they went to a bye week, and they really, Kellen Moore, they really got into the lab and said, this is going to be our offense. And that's when they started throwing it basically on average 21 times a game, Howard. And that's probably a great number if you can run the ball. They ran it 725 times in 21 games. I mean, third most NFL history. So, but they're not doing that right now. And so unless, like, for example, like they had a nice 17-yard run on a quick pitch last week.
Yep.
Okay. It was really a good play. It was really well blocked. Tight ends actually blocked pretty good on the play. You would think you'd come back to that play, double that play up. Like it worked. Let's flip it to the other side. Let's run out of a different formation. Like they never came back to it. That's part of the problem when you get into the game that they played last week, which was a passing game, is you never kind of get into a rhythm of what plays work. Last year, when they had all that success, Howard, they were running some of the same plays over and over and over again. Like, I mean, back-to-back type plays. We're going, okay, we're going to keep running this till you stop it. Well, they haven't had that luxury in any game so far this year.
Okay, history in the NFL it shows you that when a running back has as many carries as Saquon had last year, the following year, he's not hurt, but there's just something about your body that's just not the same. Do you think that's maybe part of the issue this year?
There are outliers to that, Howard. I would agree, Mike. Everybody that's touched the ball over 400 times, except for LaDainian Tomlinson, Emmitt Smith. There's a couple outliers that that break away from that mold that you're talking about. I like, for example, Saquon had that 13-yard touchdown run against Kansas City. It was 13 yards, but if he was 60 yards away, he would have scored from 60.
Right.
Like, I think the long runs are there, but they're just not getting any clean runways to get there. Like, I think Saquon is just as healthy. I mean, he spent the offseason playing golf, took it easy, didn't have any surgeries. Like, I think he's still the same. Last week, he's dodging guys in the backfield, just the penetration that they got, in the run, just from DJ Jones and some of those guys up front. Like, he was dodging guys just getting the handoff last week. But six reps, I mean, it's not much to go on.
Okay, when you look at the tape, and I guess you get it from the All 22? Is that where you get those tapes?
Mm-hmm.
Is Jalen Hurts holding on to the ball because players are not open, or is he holding on to the ball because he doesn't want to throw the ball?
Or he's just not dissecting what the defense is
He's
doing.
not making is he not making the progressions that he should be making?
I mean, I would say it's a combination of that. Like, he threw the ball because they had to, because they were down 26-7 to the Rams. He had to throw it.
Right.
He had to take shots. I feel like if the game is close or they got the lead, he's not throwing it, Howard. He's just not. He's going to, like, he did the same thing, heck, in the playoff game last year against the Rams. He took a safety, in that game. He's not going to throw it. He's not going to put it in harm's way. Look, the record speaks for itself. I mean, it's 19-2 or something in the last 21 games, something like that, whatever. But I don't believe he's going to change. They can have all the conversations they want. They can sit down at the round table and talk this all out. I don't believe he's going to throw it unless he has to throw it.
Is he, if he has to throw it, are the Eagles in a good enough position if he has to throw it?
I mean, he's always had pretty good deep ball accuracy,
right?
Howard. I mean, he's been pretty good in that phase of the game. Going back to Alabama, Oklahoma, he's always been pretty good. He hasn't been particularly good this year, for whatever reason. Balls going over their heads or out of bounds a lot. So it doesn't seem like he's got the touch that he has had. But he's been a pretty good deep ball thrower. The throw that he made against Dallas to Jahan Dotson was a perfect throw down the middle of the field. I think he could do it. It's not going to look like Jared Goff. It's not going to look like Baker or he's not that type of rhythm thrower. He just hasn't been where he just goes through these progressions the way Joe Burrow does and things like that. It's going to look a little different, but I think he can still throw the ball accurately and get it to an open target.
When you look at what they did in the second half, what do you think the reason was that they didn't run the ball? There were some 3 and outs. you don't want the 3 and outs. You want to try to get, and then there's some 3rd and longs. What do you think the issue was where everybody complained? Well, they didn't run the ball the second inning when they had that lead. They didn't run the ball enough. Did they try and it wasn't successful?
Well, they ran it once in the 4th quarter.
Right.
So, Saquon had 1 run. I mean, nobody's going to – there's no run game if you're doing that.
Right.
You're throwing it. Now, are you throwing it because they're just, walking up and their best bet to move the football is to throw it, and then you're getting some penalties mixed up and, you're getting some negative plays and, certainly the incompletions. I mean, they just didn't possess the ball enough, in the second half to really Denver had 3 really good drives. And so they were sitting there and 3 and out. Denver's back on the field. They never got into any kind of a rhythm.
Is the Eagles' defensive line as good as they were last year?
No.
And why not?
Well, I mean, Josh Sweat and Milton Williams had really good years. And in fact, if you watch Josh Sweat right now, Howard, in Arizona, he's playing great. You watch Milton Williams, against Buffalo the other night, he had a really good game. So 2 elite players are gone. Nolan Smith's out. His second half of the season was as good as anybody off the edge. So now you're minus 3 guys up there. I would say that Jalen isn't anywhere near the player that he has been to this point this season. Now, is the shoulder really bad, Howard? I don't know. I don't know how bad it is. He's just not the same player that he has been. Davis has been good. He wasn't particularly good last week. He looked tired last week. But the first 4 games of the season, he was a force. Za'Darius has given him a couple reps. But really, nobody's really winning one-on-ones right now. Josh Uche's given him a little bit. Ojulari gave him a little bit. But, unless they blitz, they're not really getting much pressure right now.
You know what? Vic Fangio, who is honest in today's world for coaches when he speaks at news conference. I like Vic because he's honest.
He's like
honest.
Jim Johnson, Howard. He's like Jim. Like you wanted to get information back in the day, you went to Jim. He told you what was going on.
Yep, exactly right. So now he mentioned that Jalen Carter was overweight. Is Jalen Carter not having the year that he should be having?
Well, this is not the first time that Vic has said that. He said he's got to get in better shape. Now, obviously he didn't play week 1 for what, for the reasons that we know, but he's not the same player. He's not the same, even on one of the plays that they made, that they ran in the middle of the field last week, where normally he would double back and make the tackle and he missed the tackle. Like he's not as quick as he has been. He knows he's getting double teamed, but he beat double teams all the time. He knows it's coming. He's not this. I think conditioning looks like it's part of the issue right now, and he's just not the same violent player that we're used to seeing.
Okay, and the fans, and people have to stop listening to the fans. You listen to the coaches if they tell you something, but their defense is probably the strength of their football team. Yes or no? Yes.
Yep,
okay.
Right now.
Okay. The Rams game, even when they took the lead, the Rams moved down the field and moved into field goal position. They got a break there with the field goal block. Tampa needed a touchdown and a 2-point, and they moved down the field in the last 3 minutes, and they didn't stop them. So when they needed to stop in certain situations like that, and Denver the same way, are they good enough when they can't stop a team in those critical situations?
Well, I mean, you just go by the evidence of what you just pointed out. They haven't been a shutdown defense. They're not taking the ball away at the rate. Last year they had 13 takeaways in the 4 postseason games. You're not going to lose any of those games when you're playing like that. They were punching. They did the peanut punch. They were all punching it out. Jalen Carter against Kyron Williams. I mean, we know all the plays. They're not getting those right now. They're not as good in the secondary right now as they were a year ago. Whether it's Chauncey Gardner-Johnson or Slay or whatever, they're just not as good in the secondary. Quignon's still a really good player, but Cooper's not making the type of plays that he made last year. He's there. He's still a good player, but they're not playing as a group as good as they did a year ago.
You wonder when you win the Super Bowl, the history shows that those teams do get back. Not many, because it's hard to get there twice in a row. When you lose, you don't get back. But it's still hard to get back the next year. And you played the game for 13 years. I don't think you ever got to a Super Bowl, right? Okay. Uh, why do you think that's the case? That it's so hard. Kansas City did it, but now they're cooked because they just kept on losing too many players. Why do you think that's the case? That it's harder to get back, and the teams just certain players that are good just aren't as good.
Well, I think Kansas City's going to get back. I don't know if it's a Super Bowl, but they're going to be in the playoffs. They're going to be a force. They don't look at the record. They're going to be fine. But no, I think it's you got a shorter off season. You lose a lot of good players. Usually, you lose coaches. And they lost some good coaches, not just Kellen Moore, but they lost. They lost Nussmeier. Doug was a really good coach.
Mm-hmm.
So so you lose coaches. You lose some really good players on the defensive line. You think that maybe you have restocked, but they haven't yet.
No.
They haven't replaced those guys yet. And then the run game isn't. And there was a once in a lifetime 2,000-yard season, and you're not anywhere near where you were. Even like if you go back last year, Howard, like they were getting skunked by New Orleans week 3, and basically Saquon took the game over in the fourth quarter with one big play after another.
Yep.
That play we haven't seen that in 5 weeks. Not one of those. And he had 2 of them in that game to go win that game. They were ready to boo Nick right out of the city for 3 quarters in New Orleans the last year. Some of the decision making. So I think that's part of it. Is it's a different years, a lot of new players. The special teams haven't been. I mean, the kickoff return hasn't been very good. Fielding kicks has been an issue. But I think overall they're not as talented as they were a year ago, and they're not playing as well on the offensive line, so that Saquon can have the type of season that he had a year ago. So far, I mean, it's still a lot of time here to kind of come up with some.
All good teams lose coaches because there's always coaching jobs. They always lose coaches, and people love to blame the play calling and the offensive coordinator. How much of the blame do you think goes on Kevin Patullo as the play caller?
Well, I mean, we did see this, when it went from Shane Steichen to Brian Johnson, we did see a real fall off, in this offense. We're seeing a fall off right now. And I don't want to blame Patullo. It's players, not plays, right, Howard? So
yep.
I don't want to blame that. I mean, the players aren't executing the plays that are called. Now, do I see some lack of creativity in this offense? I do. I see it. Now, is that by design? Is that the way the offense is designed? Because I see every team in this league, and I see what Detroit is doing and Tampa's doing, and our offense doesn't look anything like their offenses. And so, part of it is design. But, you got a veteran team. Like, Jalen's been in this league a long time. If he wants to change the play, he can change the play. He's got freedom to do that. If he wants to get into a better play, he's got all the freedom in the world. Like, it's weird, though, Howard. Like, they don't do anything in the screen game. Like, just think about just the screen game. They don't even try screens. Andy Reid ran screens here for 14 years, like we saw every kind of screen. They like screens aren't really part of what they do, which is a little bizarre to me.
Well, that's the head coach, because that's part of the game plan. He's there when they have their meetings each week with the quarterback and the coaches. So that's part of the game plan. So technically that would be the head coach if that's the case, correct?
No, I mean, everything falls on Nick. I mean, you can blame coordinators,
and I like Nick. Yeah.
He's okaying all this stuff. He's sitting in all these meetings. It's his offense. He brought Kevin with him. He's been with him. So, it's the design is in his head, what he wants. But I mean, I just sometimes, you just give the quarterback a break. You just run a screen, you run a fly sweep, you get, all these receivers involved where, Detroit gets Amon Brown involved, or, Minnesota gets Justin Jefferson involved. I mean, you just get some of these guys involved with very little thinking. Just put the ball in their hands in some of these ways that we're used to seeing now.
If you had to pinpoint, their offense isn't great this year. I mean, they won games, but it's not great. If you had to point to 1 or 2 problems with the offense, what would you say it would be?
I'd say, getting consistent movement in the run game has been an issue. So I would say that's problem number one. And then number two, the passing game just lacks any kind of a rhythm where the ball just comes out and where you just okay. I mean, you call plays with the predictability of what defense you're going to get.
Mhm.
And the good ones are almost in sync with what the defense is doing. Sean Payton is in sync with how to get a team into a rhythm. He's one guy, but Kevin O'Connell, these guys are good at it. But I would say that, this offense needs, whether you go, up tempo, like it needs to find a rhythm, Howard, and there's no rhythm to it right now.
All right. The Eagles, I think the AFC is stronger than the NFC. Would you agree or disagree?
I think the NFC's got a lot of good teams. I mean, I think Dallas is going to be a really good offensive team. Defensively, they have issues, but I think Detroit is really good. They're scoring 40 a game right now. I think the Rams are good. Tampa's good. Seattle is good. Like I think the NFC is still a really good conference. Washington just went to Los Angeles and whipped them really good. So I mean, I think there's a lot of good teams in the NFC right now.
So if you thought of teams that could challenge the Eagles, give me 2 or 3 teams, and you probably mentioned them, that I think could be the toughest challenge for the Eagles to get back to the Super Bowl.
Well, I mean, I think Detroit right now, the way they're playing, offensively, they're very good, and the quarterback is really good. Now, they got beat by Washington last year in their first playoff game, and that was at home. But I would say Detroit is going to be good. I think Green Bay is still going to be a good football team. We'll see what they do against Chicago this weekend, but I think Washington is going to be a quality opponent. I think they're better than they were a year ago. They're running the ball better than anybody in the league right now. And they've won 2 games without their starting quarterback. So I think Tampa, and look, I mentioned the Rams and Tampa, and the Eagles beat both those teams.
Yeah.
But we also know that if they played either one of those teams again, either one of those teams could have beaten the Eagles. So, it's still early. We'll see who's healthy and all those kind of things. But I mean, I think both those teams are going to be good teams.
Yeah, the Eagles got a break because the Rams and Detroit play in Philadelphia. And Detroit now has injuries. I don't know if Detroit's going to win against Kansas City this weekend because
both offenses will have a good game.
Yeah, right. Because they've lost some guys in the secondary,
Yes,
but there really are some good teams. It'll be interesting. But the Eagles playing those 2 teams at home now. They play Minnesota on the road, and I guess J.J. McCarthy will probably be back. People are anticipating that he'll be back. So that would be
Carson's looked pretty good, Howard. Carson's looked pretty good. I mean, it was a good finish.
I didn't even want to bring him up, but you bring him up, and it's interesting. He's played as well as he's played in the last few years. Now he hasn't played much, but he's finding receivers, making good passes. Wouldn't that be interesting if the Eagles?
Well, look, here's the thing, Howard, is so, I mean, Carson was a mess in Philadelphia at the end. I mean, Jalen it was a mess. He has to be coached hard. He's been to Kansas City. He sees what Andy does with Mahomes. All right. He's been to the Rams. He's seen what McVay does with Stafford. He's, now he's with Kevin O'Connell, who's a great play caller. They traded Sam Howell to the Eagles to make room for Carson Wentz. They wanted him to be the backup. He's just won a couple of games. He's got elite talent around him. Like, it could be another one of these reclamation projects that we're seeing around the league right now. I'm not saying he's going to beat out JJ, but I don't know that JJ would have beaten Cleveland on Sunday in London the way Carson came back and won.
Well, that's interesting. But Carson, I never knew him to be a bad guy. People, all these things come out of the locker room, which is a lot of times that's bullshit. It's not fair to the player because he just didn't get it done. I mean, that was the bottom line. And I guess there were times that he didn't call the plays it should have been called, if he changed the play at the line of scrimmage. But without Carson Wentz, the Eagles don't win that Super Bowl 52. There's no question about question.
No, 11 wins.
Yeah, Baldy, I love it. The way you break things down. I always look at your breakdowns every week on Twitter. They're on Twitter every week. You have these. You have the
Twitter,
these,
Instagram. Yep.
Yeah, these breakdowns, and you're doing stuff with the NFL Network, Fox Sports, and Compass Radio, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Odyssey. Yeah. All City. Yeah, like a bunch of different outlets. keeps me busy, Howard. I like it.
You know what's interesting, and I don't know if you even want to talk about it. Dan Orlovsky was shut down by the NFL having breakdowns on his Twitter. Did you hear about that?
No, I didn't.
He's not allowed to use the video on the
Well,
breakdown.
it is protected. It is protected.
I
I'm
get
an NFL. I'm an NFL employee, so
right.
nobody has shut me down, and I'm not making any money off it, Howard.
No,
I
I
don't know
know
if
that.
Orlovsky was, charging or whatever. Like that'd be an issue. But honestly, you could go get NFL Plus, and anybody can get the all 22.
I know.
So I see other guys breaking it down. I don't know why they shut Dan down. I haven't talked to him about it.
You,
But I'm a little surprised.
if I use a video that's protected, I get a notice from whether it's YouTube or
Yeah.
Facebook or,
Yeah.
it's just, that's why I would have loved to use the video, your breakdowns, especially the Eagles game, the ones I saw in there, but they're going to give me a hard time. And it's just
Yeah.
like the NFL makes enough money. I mean, it's okay. It's
Yeah.
okay.
Well, it is. It does. They do want to make it, a privacy thing for NFL employees and not ESPN or other networks.
Yeah, it was ESPN. It was the ESPN thing.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. Hey, Baldy, I really do. On Twitter at Baldy NFL.
That's
right.
right.
Is
Yep.
that the best place to find you?
At all
Right.
the NFL. Yeah, on Twitter and on Instagram. Yep, you can. Anybody can follow me out in those outlets.
Okay, cool. I do really appreciate your time. One thing that I want to mention to you, Dan Cilio's wife is doing great.
Oh, good.
And I mentioned that because I was on with him yesterday.
Okay. Yeah. No, I go on with Cilio every once in a while. I know he's down in Tampa.
Yeah.
And so I'm a big fan and known Danny a long time, man. We played the
And
same time.
we talked about that. So
Okay.
we talked about it in nice terms, in good terms. It was all good. So
All right.
he says, yeah, bring that up to Baldy. I said, okay.
All right. Well, that's good to hear.
All right. Hey, have a great night. And
Okay,
thanks
Howard,
again.
you bet.
I
Anytime,
really do
buddy.
appreciate it. Thanks,
Yeah,
God.
you're
Take care.
welcome, Howard. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Brian Baldinger, who does as good a job, if not the best job, of breaking down the video of games each week. Patty, thanks. I thought Baldy is when you have people on, and Patty H, great interview. It's not, Patty, just let me tell you, that was a great conversation. I don't consider those interviews because we're just two guys who know each other talking about things. And it's really fun when you do that. It's just, it's really, somebody else said, great guest, Mark Smolgy, or what, I don't pronounce your last name correctly. Great guest with Baldy. Anapa, a good interview. It's fun. It's not an interview, it's a conversation, but I have fun. But the Eagles got to do, it's interesting what he said about Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts, basically, I don't know if he used the word afraid. He hesitates to throw the football because he'll take sacks. He doesn't want to throw an interception. Nobody wants to throw an interception, but sometimes you got to take a chance. Sometimes you got to take a chance. All right, I'm going to have a question so you can win that Larry Boa autographed baseball. But I do want to tell you that the presenting sponsor of this show, with conversations with you on Saturdays, with guys like Brian Baldinger during the week. It's fun to have those kind of people on, but it's what makes this fun. It's what makes this fun. But let me tell you, it's important that we have our presenting sponsor, and that would be Stillwell Financial Advisors, Jeff Stillwell. Jeff Stillwell knows so much about how to invest and what to do, and the changing world. It's a changing world with money, and Jeff can help you out with that. I know he can help you out because I've talked to him about that. Jeff Stillwell, and the number is 732-343-0813. Also, great deal going on right now at Audi Westchester. Great deal. 3 point, you see that right there? I'll tell you about it. Audi Westchester, get 3.99% financing for up to 72 months on the following new Audis. New, redesigned, the A5, Q5, SQ5, Q5 Sportsback, SQ5 Sportback, and the Q6 e-tron rear wheel drive. Stop by Audi. You have fun when you're looking at cars. It's fun to go and look at cars. Stop by Audi Westchester. I've seen a lot of nice people when I've stopped by there. Usually pop in there once a week just to say hello to them and say hello to the customers. And they're having fun. Grab a cup of coffee, grab some snacks. Located 1421 Wilmington Pike. It's a new facility, all new facility. So it's the time. Last month was a deal. This month is a deal. Special offer. Won't last long. 3.99% financing for up to 72 months on the following new Audis. The new A5, Q5, SQ5, Q5 Sportback, SQ5 Sportback, and the Q6 e-tron rear wheel drive. Check them all out on their website, AudiWestchester.com. You want to build a pool and you procrastinated and you didn't build the pool. But the people that can do it for you is Piazza Property Pros. And also they can make your property look sensational. Sensational. That's what they do. 25 years of experience, build a pool, clean up your property, fencing, landscaping, build things into the property that when you have company over, it's really nice. 25 years of experience they don't subcontract. That's important. They'll turn your vision into a reality. Yeah, whatever you need, they're going to take care of your property and they're going to do it very, very well. And just give them a call. I'm telling you, just give them a call. 610-566-2608. Schedule a free consultation. Now, not everybody has a free consultation. Schedule a free consultation, 610-566-2608, or check them out on their website, piazzaoutdoor.com. All right. It is, I see a lot of these comments. I see Abe has an Audi Q7. I got the Q6 and a Q5. I see Levi. Howard, glad you're still talking sports. I'm never going to stop talking sports. Been listening to you since I was 19. I'm now 48. That's a long time. I've been covering sports, and I'm not old. I'm just older. Covering sports in Philadelphia close to 50 years. Close to 50 years. It's just, I'm a Philadelphian. It's been fun. Don't always agree with you, but definitely enjoyed your knowledge. Tony's going to rip Donovan McNabb. We throw him to the ground all the time. Come on, Tony. It's just, who is it? Somebody got here late. Al, sorry I got here so late, Howard. I hope you can forgive me. I do, but you can always, here's the deal. With a podcast, I'm on live right now, but you can listen to it again and again and again on all the platforms. It's easy on Twitter because I pin it so you can listen. You have a week to go back and listen to it. If you go to YouTube, put up the Howard Eskin Show, you can listen to all my shows. It's just, you can have some fun. Brian, I don't want Brian to get sensitive with Dan Cilio, but they played together at one time. But it's all fun. Baldy's always good, especially the way he breaks down things. He breaks them down, and he breaks them down as well, if not better than anyone. He knows his stuff. He really knows his stuff, and it's a fun guest to have on in our conversation. But the Eagles offensively have to get better. All right. To win the autographed baseball signed by Larry Boa on a National League ball, here is the question. There was a few different ways to go with this question. We talked about the biggest problems with the Eagles offense, but something that, I try to make it simple for you. He mentioned 3 teams that he thinks, and he mentioned it in succession, 3 teams that he thinks would give the Eagles the biggest problem. The 3 teams he mentioned in the NFC that could give the Eagles the biggest problem to get back to the Super Bowl. If you submit the answer to my website, howardeskin.com, by midnight on Friday, October 10th, watch the show on Saturday, October 11th. 8 a.m. is when we start. Mark Lawrence is always on Saturday to talk about the weekend football. By the way, I did not have a good weekend in college, but I think I only lost one game counting the Monday night game in 6 games in the NFL. But we'll announce the winner. And if you want to know when the show's coming on, if you subscribe to my page or me at YouTube, it will automatically notify you when we come on. So, all right, the Phillies. I don't know where to go. We didn't talk enough about Rob Thompson, and I like him. I like him as a manager. He's too locked into analytics. Let me just say this: there's no way you bunt there. I mean, all you need if you had the right people in the lineup, it's a man on second, nobody out. Tell the guy, I need you to pull the ball to the right side, move the guy over to third. And the ball might get through. It could be get through, could be an error, could be, and you move the runner to third base. Without bunting, when you see they're into the rotation play, it was foolish, especially with Castellanos on second base. Total mistake. Not that they would have won the game. Dodgers right now are a better team, obviously up 2-0. But you tell me you can't get a hit with the next 3 batters. In certain cases, I don't like. Hey, if you are in an extra inning and they give you the man on second base to move the guy to third base, okay, I'll live with the bunt there. But not because if you're going to try to win the game. Terrible. They don't score enough runs without home runs. The top of the order is not hitting. It's just I don't know where you go. Somebody's got, and it can't be home runs. They just don't put the ball in play, and it's not always the hitting coach. People want to blame. People always want to blame the hitting coach. When you ask a guy with 2 strikes choke up a little in the bat, and the player won't do it, what are you going to do? But the Phillies only have themselves to blame with the way this lineup has been set up. It's just, and if anything, are you going to tell me that Crawford's not better than 2 of the outfielders they have out there now? Maybe not better than Bader. Okay. But at least one of the outfielders. But you don't bring him up because they don't want to start what they call the clock running on his major league time. So he can't become a free agent for 6 years. He can't go to arbitration for 3 years. It's ridiculous. If you want to win, Painter and Crawford should have been brought up. There's no question. You could say, "Oh, we just wanted to make sure Painter was all right." Well, he threw during the season in the minor leagues. I don't know what to tell you. And the Eagles' offense, things have to get better. You could say it's the running game. So there's a couple things, but they should. I mean, if they don't beat the Giants, the last time I checked, it went from 7.5 to 6.5. They were a 6.5 point favorite. I'll check it right now. They were a 6.5 point favorite against the Giants. And I think, and that's as we speak, that's tomorrow night. Let me just see what the Eagles tomorrow night. No, it's back up to 7.5. 7.5 point favorite. They'll beat the Giants. They'll beat the Giants. And then the next week is tougher, even though they have 10 days off. They'll be at Minnesota. But nonetheless, Philly's got to put the ball in play. All right. Thanks for being a part of the Howard Eskin Show. Thanks to Brian Baldinger for jumping on and having our conversation. I call it a conversation, not an interview. And Saturday, Mark Lawrence will join us, take a look at the weekend football as he does on Saturdays. And it's me and you on Saturday. So you can join us on Saturdays. Thanks to Joe Gangemi, who's the technical side, handling things on the other side of all this. And Tony Anastasia, who does all the graphics and everything put together with all the different things that you see on the screen. She does a great job. Thank you. Thank Brian Baldinger and everybody. Have a great night, and we'll talk to you on Saturday.